Hello and welcome to the Comic Cave. I'm Ramsey, aka Captain Away, and today I'm looking at the 2011 to 2013 series, The Savage Hawkman, part of DC's The New 52. When DC first started The New 52, there was actually some controversy where the company reportedly fired the majority of their female creative staff, leaving mostly only men working on New 52 comics. Whether this is true or not, and whatever the reasons might have been, I'll leave for you to decide. But I will point out that it's pretty notable how few female characters got titles in the 52 titles that started with the New 52, and how those females that did, particularly Catwoman and Starfire, were pretty heavily eroticized. It all kind of points to the possibility that DC was looking to get attention back from what it clearly saw as its core audience: horny teenage boys with highly idealized concepts of masculinity. And so, really, what could scream masculinity more than the title of today's subject? The Savage Hawkman! Oh yeah! Hawkman himself is a pretty old character who has typically been paired with Shiera, the Hawkgirl, and the two of them have, at various times, been reincarnated people from ancient Egypt, aliens from the planet Thanagar, reincarnations of aliens from the planet Thanagar, and reincarnations of aliens from Thanagar who lived in ancient Egypt. With the New 52 came the chance to renew the origins of the characters, so let's see what version they go with here and take this away. The comic opens on Carter Hall, archaeologist and expert in ancient languages, burying his Hawkman costume in the woods like he's a mafia man hiding a body. After having read through this whole comic, I still don't have any idea why this is actually happening. And even if I did, I don't think that would really explain why he then proceeds to shoot the costume with his gun. I guess it's cause he's a man and he's doing man things, and men shoot guns. Pew pew! Sorry, I guess I mean bang? Whatever, gun things. I guess the bullet was made of tinder or something because it lights a spark and sets the costume on fire. Great, now you just have a giant flaming bird costume trying to swallow you. Good job. Also, I thought he was Hawkman, not Phoenix Man. We cut away from this nonsensical acid trip to where Carter's boss, this Professor Ziegler guy here, is picking up some ancient alien ship out of the ocean and wondering where the hell his favorite cryptozoologist is. Wait, you can actually get paying jobs as a cryptozoologist? Sign me the F up. Oh, wait, that says cryptologist? As in a person skilled at deciphering codes and puzzles? That's embarrassing. And it explains why, when Carter actually does get to work, Ziegler actually just asks him to translate some of the alien language. Oh, and they also found this real-life dead alien body in the ship. I mean, it's no big. Probably just a guy in the costume, right? Oh shit, it is real, and it comes to life and immediately eats two dudes. Well, that's bad. Guess you're wishing you hadn't burned your super cool Hawkgirl cosplay now, huh, Mr. Hall? Luckily, the armor just grows out of his skin for some reason, allowing him to fight off this new threat. But this creature attempts to consume his armor, growing some wings of his own, and then decides he's just going to leave Carter Hall alone, for reasons so unclear even our main character is left confused. Despite his claims that the nth metal in Hawkman's power suit is making him stronger, our black oil alien, Morphicus, is quickly weakened by it and seeks refuge from this guy named Dr. Hogarth Kane. Hogarth of the Hill People here is one of the seemingly 8 million evil super ultra-rich billionaires of the DC universe. We never learn much about him other than that he has a shape-shifting reptilian alien lady, Ascana, who works for him. Which, like, fine. I mean, are you really a billionaire if you don't have a shape-shifting reptilian lady working for you? I don't think so. Oh, and also he wants to create something called the Extinction Virus. Ha! Joke's on you, Hogarth. Could've just waited a few years for COVID. What? Too soon? Fine. Meanwhile, Carter's Int Metal has awakened in him a new ultimate superpower, the power of plot convenience. So he's suddenly able to read the glyphs on the alien ship. This allows him to use the ship to call up a hologram and speak to Superman's dad. Oh, or just some guy who served as the Black Oil Alien's jailer. Less cool, but fine. Not Jor-El has a superpower too, the ability to not be helpful at all but fill up multiple pages of a comic book. Sweet. He tells us all about Morphicus's history, but his audio conveniently cuts out when it comes to the creature's weakness. I'm sorry, what? I can't hear you. I'm going tunnel right now. I'm gonna have to call you back. Yeah, he's not calling back. But I guess Hawkman figures out things on his own, because before long he's crashing through the wall of Hogarth's home like his name is Jack Torrance, and before long he's in a three-way fight with Ascana and Morphicus that goes until Hawkman reveals Morphe's weakness: being frozen to death. Man, I always find it amusing when someone's weakness in comics is just something that would have killed pretty much anyone anyway. I mean, you probably didn't need to make a big deal about it being his weakness. Probably most people would have just accepted being completely frozen as enough. With Morphicus out of the way, Hawkman goes and gets Hrothgar's research on the Kill Everything plague, and then leaves him on his pilotless helicopter to crash and die. Yeah, Hawkman basically just killed a dude. Yeah. Guess he's feeling a little guilty about it because he's soon seeing some zombies everywhere. Get it? Like he's seen a ghost? Cause they're zombies? Zombies are like ghosts? Kind of? Right? So Hawkeye faces off against this weird gentleman ghost guy, Jim Craddock, as they fight for dominance of this Lazarus Bowl thingy. I mean, Mortis Orb. That is what is bringing zombies to life. That first time Hawkman saw the zombies was just a vision to get his attention, but the zombies start actually rising after he finds the orb, digging it up from out of the grave of a dead warlock named Julius Gates, and letting Craddock just kind of take it from him and leave. Okay. Not even gonna try to stop the guy talking about killing half a city? No? Okay then. This part then gets a little confusing for me, because at the beginning, Carter clearly says that most days he's known as Hawkman, and that he's had the Nth Metal for years. But now we see that people don't seem to have any idea who he is, as we see this reporter try very hard not to coin the term Hawkman. He's like an eagle, or a falcon. Basically, he's a bird that is also a man. A man-bird, if you will. Somewhat hilariously enough, Hawkman ends up playing second fiddle in his own comic, as the truly effective force for stopping these zombies is Static Shock and his lightning powers. Static calls down lightning and just destroys a massive amount of the zombies in a single attack. OP much? Jeez. Hawk doesn't even end up being the one to stop Craddock, but instead that warlock Gates, who had been keeping the orb company in his grave, shows up from out of nowhere to drag Craddock to hell. Carter then takes the orb and throws it in a big hole in the ice in Antarctica. He seems to solve a lot of his problems by just freezing them. If something scares you put it in the freezer. At this point, main series writer Tony S. Daniel leaves, and Rob Liefeld, of all people, takes over. If you don't know Rob Liefeld, man, I don't have time to explain here, but he's quite a character himself. Whether your history with him means you're expecting good or bad things from him, though, you'll probably be disappointed, because his run is not particularly noteworthy either way. It starts on issue 9 with our first actual explanation of what Carter Hall is an expert in. Archaeology, linguistics, and history? Well, isn't that nice for you? Carter warps into Hawkman for no apparent particular reason and takes flight, where he immediately comes under attack by these weird Tron ninja guys who work for someone named Xerxes. Who is Xerxes? Really, Carter? He was a king of the ancient Persian Empire. I thought you were a historian. You could at least have watched my 300 review to learn that. Jeez. Anyway, where was I? Oh right. So Carter fights off the Tron ninjas and goes on with his life, but it seems they know who he is because they attack him again the next day when he's in his civilian identity meeting with Emma. Great, the leader of the Tron ninjas speaks about himself in the third person. He's one of those guys. What's that? Who's Emma? Oh, right. Yeah, so Emma is the sexy daughter of Carter's boss, Ziegler, who's totally not here just to be a love interest, and totally isn't into him at all, and hasn't been doing really obvious things to show she's into him, like randomly bringing dinner over to his apartment just to, quote unquote, check in on him. Yeah. And so Tron Iron Man there kidnaps both Hawkman and Emma so they can get Hawkman to showcase his Nth Metal by fighting in one of the millions of underground super arenas that exist in the DC universe. Hawkman easily beats all opponents and escapes by turning Ironsides into a bomb and throwing him at the ceiling. Yeah, Hawkman killed another dude. That's 2 now. So Carter and Emma, who now is aware of his alter ego, obviously, go on the run as Carter continues seeking out answers to a strange scroll he says he's always had, that for some reason convinces him that aliens once visited Earth in ancient Egypt. Oh, regular Daniel Jackson, this guy, am I right? At this point, they start being hunted by this guy named Pike, who was apparently once part of the Wildstorm universe, but here is just some random merc with a mouth. And not the merc with a mouth anyone would actually want, though he does seem to have Deadpool's ability to react to internal dialogue that he shouldn't be privy to. Before he can get to them, though, they visit a church to get some help with Carter's weird scroll thing, and the priest instead kind of overreacts, calling him a blasphemer and sicking this St. Bastion guy on him. What? Dude, you're doing all this shouting about his mild theory being blasphemy, but you're the one literally bursting through a church window. I'm just saying. Hawkman fights Bastion, and in a weird and probably unintentionally funny twist, Emma fights the priest. But they've only barely gotten away when Pike snipes Hawkman, killing him. Oh, wait, no, he's fine? Wait, that's the end of the issue? The cliffhanger is he's fine, not he's dead? Okay. Pike and Hawkman's fight goes back and forth a bit, but ends up leading to Hawkman being brought before a legion of other Hawk people, because it seems the Thanagarians have made their way to Earth looking for him. Which gives us a nice little reunion between Hawkman and Hawkgirl. How sweet. Oh, she wants to kill him. Less sweet, I guess. So we finally get a look into Carter's past, letting us know that he's apparently actually Qatar Hull. And back on Thanagar, he was engaged to Princess Shayara, where her brother Corsair was king. All Thanagarians used to have wings, but after trying to make peace with another alien race they had been warring with, the Daemonites, the Thanagarians were hit with a plague that cost them all their wings. And they called the plague by the rather uncreative name, the Plague. I'ma call it bird flu. In an attempt to win back their dominance, King Corsair mines in a very unstable region of the planet for a fabled ancient resource known as Nth Metal. They only ever manage to secure a small chunk of it, which for some reason bonds itself to Qatar and turns him into the Hawkman. Corsair is super jelly of Qatar's cool new Birdman powers and tries to take the Nth Metal from him, but this just leads to him somehow electrocuting himself. I mean, I'm really not sure how. There's just this panel of him standing there and this panel of him electrocuting himself. I don't know what he did or what's electrocuting him. It's just there. Qatar gets blamed for the king's death. Shayara completely ignores her entire history with her fiancé and demands his head, and so he's forced to flee to Earth, where he apparently forgets all about his life as Qatar Hull and somehow completely makes over his life as Carter Hull, bringing us back around to the start of the series. Which still doesn't really explain why the opening scene happened like it did, but okay. Back in the present, Carter and Emma attempt to flee from the Thanagarians, something that mostly seems to happen only so they can rip Emma's clothing in a conveniently provocative way. I mean, really? Literally all the previous shots of her, no ripping. Then this shot, ripped to shreds. What did she even rip it on? There's nothing there. I guess on the same thing that electrocuted Corsair. But you had to get those sexy shots in somehow though, right? Because it's not like the artist, Joe Bennett, already spends a ton of time emphasizing her butt. Except he really loves spending time emphasizing her butt. Like, for reals. Eventually, Hawk and Emma succeed at getting away, but the Thanagarians continue to pursue them until they finally manage to capture them and bring them onto their spaceship parked near the sun. There, we learn Corsair never died at all, but has apparently been living secretly as this half-zombie thing in their ship. Even Shayara, Hawkgirl, is surprised, which is weird because she seemed to have been talking to him earlier, but by this point yet another new writer, Frank Thierry, had taken over, and I guess they didn't really share notes. Corsair answers Shayara's frustrations about hiding his well-being from her by claiming it was all for the good of the Empire, because his focus is still entirely on the Nth Metal. He tries to torture Qatar to get the metal off of him, but it continues to stubbornly cling. Shayara then has a completely random change of heart and decides to free Emma and Carter and help them escape back to Earth. She answers her brother's angry protest at her betrayal by throwing his own words back at him. That's actually a pretty good line. I like this Shayara much more than the single-minded focus Shayara Liefeld was writing. I'm actually kind of looking forward to her being a character in the rest of the... Oh, she's dead. Yeah, that figures. With all the Hawk people burning up in the sun behind them, Hawk and Emma return to Earth. Here we get yet another writer on the series with yet another giant of the comics industry taking over, Tom DeFalco. Again, he doesn't seem to have read the previous stories because Carter's life sees some serious changes. Primarily that Emma and Carter are suddenly a couple and like living together or something? What? And he somehow burns this turkey in the oven? What? Why are people in media always burning turkeys in ovens? Do they not have timers on their ovens or something? He also seems to gain some kind of danger sense because I guess he's Spider-Man now? He's not even a Spider-Ham. This brings him into facing off against a new female version of the old villain, Shadow Thief. Though mostly they actually just work together to stop other criminals using Thanagarian technology to commit their crimes, including our old friend Xerxes. Oh wait, no, sorry, this Xerxes. Remember him? He was a thing once. Sort of. They get to be at odds when Shadow Thief kills some of the thieves, and Hawkman doesn't like that. Jeez, Hawky, you're being awfully judgy for a guy who's killed 2 people himself. Though I guess you can argue Hogarth somehow managed to survive, or that at least Carter didn't actually kill him, just left him to die. And that other guy, the one he turned into a bomb and exploded, is in this arc, so somehow not dead? Not sure how that works, but fine. Guess you can be judgy after all. The final arc focuses on Ziegler. Remember him? He was a thing once. Sort of. DeFalco throws away previous attempts to be a little subtle about Ziegler's Alzheimer's and simply addresses it outright, with Emma and Carter taking the old man to a clinic run by a Dr. Fane that is attempting to cure the disease with some very experimental treatments. Experimental and dangerous, as Ziegler learns when he accidentally stumbles in on the not-so-good doctor giving doses of the strange treatment to another patient. Ziegler somehow manages to break a conveniently inconveniently placed group of vials containing dangerous liquids. I think Dr. Fane's real crime isn't his experiments, but his lack of proper lab safety procedures. Is there a course on poorly placing supervillain creating chemicals in easily breakable containers in very central locations at evil mad scientist school or something? This accident waiting to happen turns the other patient into the new 52 version of the old Hulk-like villain Blockbuster, and manages to similarly Hulk out Ziegler into, Ziegbuster. Sure, let's go with that. The 2 men then start fighting over Emma because why have a woman here if not to have men fight over her? And Hawkman tries to stop them both pretty unsuccessfully, even, at one point, getting his wing ripped off. Ouch. Luckily, he's for some reason able to cocoon himself, and he emerges reborn as Hawkman. He entered as Hawkman and came out as Hawkman? Cool. The fight really doesn't end, though, until the Justice League of America shows up, and Hawkman's just like, well, I'm off to join the JLA, bye-sies. And that's literally where the comic ends. So, on to the breakdown. I make fun of the first couple of arcs pretty hard, but I've got to say, they're really the best this comic had to offer. After Tony S. Daniel leaves, the comic becomes basically a revolving door of other authors sinking the title into more and more generic superhero genre obscurity, with nothing really notable about any of it. At least the first 2 arcs had some sense of style and mystery, even if they were honestly pretty boring and confusing. They were written rather like the art was finished first, and someone gathered it all together and tried to make a semi-sensible story out of it all. There's a lot of just jumping from one place and idea to a completely different one, with steps and logic missing in between. But I still can't say that's enough to really kill it. And that Philip Tan art in the first arc is just like, damn. So I'm giving this series a recommendation level of low. At its best, it feels like there's potential that it never reaches, and at its worst, it's pretty boringly generic, so there isn't much here for anyone to have much reason to check it out. The collected editions get 2 Tron Ninjas. How that breaks down, I'm sure you can probably guess. Volume 1 has 8 issues, and Volume 2 has 13. So at least you get a lot to read for your money. Also, they both have several pages of bonuses, including alternate covers and some pretty cool design sketches, like this sweet-ass sketch of a Thanagarian ship. Now that's cool. Thanks everybody for watching. I've been really busy these past couple of months, but I think, or at least I guess I'm hoping, that things are about to slow down, at least a little bit. At least enough for me to work more on these videos. So hopefully pretty soon I'll get to return back to a one-a-week schedule, but I'm not gonna make any promises just yet. But I can promise that I definitely will be back, so make sure to stick around for that, and I hope to see you next time, right here in the Comic Cave.